Tony Thurmond, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Inauguration Ceremony, January 7th, 2019.
At this time, we'd like to welcome the Honorable Mayor of Sacramento, Darrell Steinberg.
Wow. I don't know about you, but man, I can feel the energy and the electricity in this room. How exciting is this? Let me begin by thanking our Sacramento City Unified School District, led by President Jesse Ryan and Superintendent Jorge Aguilar, for welcoming us to McClatchy High School today. We appreciate that. There are so many elected officials. I would ask all the former superintendents of public instruction to please stand up. I see Delaney Easton, I see Tom Torlickson, I see Bill Honig. I would ask all the members and former members of the legislature to please stand up, led by Speaker Anthony Rendon, who you will hear from in a few moments. Congresswoman, I saw Congresswoman Barbara Lee here today. Welcome to you. I would like all the mayors to please stand up. I see Mayor London Breed here. The new Insurance Commissioner, Ricardo Lara. I see the President of the University of California, Janet Napolitano, and I'm going to leave out many, many people here. All honored guests here today. It is my great honor to give a welcome here in the capital city to a man the people of California have elected and entrusted with our most precious asset, our young people. A man who has kept our kids at the forefront of public policy decisions in every office he has held. Tony Thurmond is a lifelong advocate for all children and a deep believer that education is, in fact, the great equalizer in our society, with the potential to both uplift students from modest beginnings into success and prosperity. Tony Thurmond believes we leave no child behind, and as the new superintendent of public instruction, he will fight to make sure that all of California's children have access to safe, well-funded, high-caliber, and relevant education that will help them reach their full potential. He's steadfastly committed to closing the achievement gap, to creating real career pathways for young people, and ensuring, as I said, that 21st century curriculum is relevant to the jobs of the 21st century. Many of our friends and Tony's friends and colleagues are here today to celebrate new beginnings and to welcome a still young man who, yeah, that's what he is. Unlike some of us, California is immensely lucky to have a talented, committed, and savvy leader like Tony Thurmond leading the Department of Education and fighting for our youth. Welcome to Sacramento. Welcome to everybody. Welcome, Superintendent-elect Thurmond. Thank you very much, everybody.
Please welcome the Master of Ceremony for today's inauguration, the Honorable Speaker of the California State Assembly, Anthony Rendon.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Everybody's excited. Everybody's dressed up, looking good. The mayor introduced a number of elected officials who were here. Our new state treasurer, Fiona Ma, is also here as well. And the mayor of Stockton, Michael Tubbs, is here. We want to thank a lot of the folks who helped to make this possible today. We want to thank Jorge Aguilar, the superintendent. We want to thank McClatchy Principal Peter Lambert, and especially to Assistant Principal Ayuna for welcoming us here today. I also want to recognize our student ushers and coordinators who got me on stage. From the Air Force ROTC, the Law and Police Academy, and the Criminal Justice Academy. Thank you to all of you. This is an auspicious occasion in an auspicious place. McClatchy High School. This high school has among its many illustrious alumni a U.S. Supreme Court Justice, a California Supreme Court Chief Justice, 2 congressional representatives, and the current California Attorney General. There have been many other fine alumni, writers, jurists, legislators, athletes, astronauts, and artists, too many to list. We are here today to inaugurate a new superintendent of public instruction. His name is Tony Thurmond. In other words, we are installing a leader with a vision to make sure that all of California's schools join McClatchy in producing graduates who will make outstanding contributions to our state. Every student in the roughly 1,500 public schools in our state deserves the best chance at graduating and contributing to what is now the 5th biggest economy in the world. Superintendent Thurmond is uniquely positioned to take schools to the next level because of his personal history, as well as his professional history. His childhood, having lost both his parents by the age of 6, is similar to that of California's previous African-American superintendent, Wilson Riles, who was also orphaned at an early age. Like Riles, Tony believes in blending a passion for quality education with attention to the disadvantaged. He believes in collaboration, and that collaboration will make that happen. He has taken his own life lessons and his experiences in providing social services as guides for an educational approach that treats each child as more than just a simple learning unit. Each student is a person. Each student is a person with intersecting needs. Tony's approach shows in a couple of bills that he wrote that became law. In 2016, his legislation created a $35 million program to help students at risk of dropping out of school, recognizing that the reasons for educational lapses go beyond academics. In the last legislative session, he authored a bill that will allow 400,000 additional students to receive free or reduced price school meals because he knows that hunger is a major burden to educational and life success. I can speak as a legislator who came to Sacramento expressly to make sure we had funding so that our youngest Californians would have a good start in life. I know that when they have a solid future, that California has a solid future. With Tony Thurmond at the helm, the future looks bright. So let's get started on that by getting this ceremony rolling. Our invocation today will be given by the Reverend Dr. Theon Johnson III of Downs Memorial United Methodist Church in Oakland. Reverend?
Let us pray. For the gift that is this day, we give thanks, O God. For every heart and mind present in this space, we give thanks. For the opportunity each day affords to serve more faithfully, to love more deeply, to live more expectantly, we give thanks. We gather on this day to celebrate and affirm the election of our 28th California State Superintendent of Public Instruction. Bless this assembly, all who are present, and especially on this day, Tony Thurmond. Strengthen his resolve to work for the betterment the educational experience within the state of California. Equip Tony with both strength and courage to act justly, love kindly, and to walk humbly alongside all for whom he will have responsibility in his office and with you. Ready both him and us to make each moment, each measure, each policy matter. Guide our hearts and minds towards a spirit of right thought and speech. Buttress our confidence by empowering us to be more fully the people you have created us to be. We are a diverse people. Help us to see you as we strive to be different together. Help us to celebrate the unity in our diversity, and in doing so, celebrate you. Respecter of the many names by which you are known among humankind, we offer this prayer with deep faith, abiding hope, and a steadfast assurance of your love, a love most directly known through our relationships with one another and with you, great God. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Let me introduce Maya and Jayden Thurmond, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing. At this time, the McClatchy High School Air Force Junior ROTC Color Guard will present the colors. And now to sing the national anthem, McClatchy High School's own sophomore, Samantha Kylier.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated.
Thank you. As an assembly member, Tony's diverse background meant he was a member of many caucuses. I think he belonged to like 20 of them, didn't he? Today we have representatives of the caucuses to speak about the importance of education policy to the people they represent. We will begin with Assemblymember Shirley Weber, Chair of the Legislative Black Caucus.
Good morning. One more time, good morning. Good morning. This is a celebration, not a funeral. I am pleased to be here as the new chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus. I'm honored to have had the opportunity to be selected by my colleagues, but equally honored to have served with Tony Thurmond in the Assembly during his 4 years, during the term that he was there, and to see his passion and concern for education. There's probably no group in this nation more concerned about education than African Americans. This year marks the 400th anniversary of African Americans coming to this country, not as slaves, but coming to this country as indentured servants to work in California. And we know the history over the last 250 years in which they served here and built this nation. They're the only ones who were denied the opportunity to learn in schools, the ones who had legislation written against them and making it illegal for them to learn to read and to write in this country. So the passion for education among African Americans cannot really be measured by any other group. The tremendous desire to learn, so great that even in the midst of challenges, they're the only ethnic group in this nation that built colleges that still exist to this day as a testament to their belief in education and an understanding more than anyone else that it truly is the American equalizer. It has made a difference in the lives of most of the individuals in this room. That I am who I am as a child of former sharecroppers because of UCLA, because of the education I was given in the state of California. And so we know what education can do. It can transform lives. But we also know what happens when you're not educated, when you're undereducated, when you're ignored in the educational system. It can be destructive. Tony Thurmond understands that. He too has the history and the passion about education. The California Legislative Black Caucus has made education one of its 2 pillars that we have worked hard for. And we were fortunate this year with the help of the current superintendent and others to be able to create equity programs to talk about education, $2 to $3 million for equity. We also were fortunate this year with the current governor to get $300 million to deal with the lowest performing children in the state of California. That will also be authorized again this year. So we know how important this is. And so this occasion is extremely important when we have a person in a position who just doesn't understand it and who has not only the intellectual understanding of the importance, but the personal life importance of it. California faces a critical period. We're a state that has had amazing education. When I came here as a child, K-12 was wonderful, and I was in the projects, the pueblos of Los Angeles. We funded our CSUs and our UCs and our community college so that I could go and get 3 degrees and only owe $1,250. That's what we did in California. We're gonna face that challenge again. We're gonna face that challenge again because that will be the key to California continuing to grow, to continue to offer opportunities to others. We have faced many challenges in California. We face the challenge of climate change, and we face it courageously. We face the challenge of creating jobs and opportunity. We face it courageously. We now must face the educational challenge courageously, unquestionably, and without any excuse at all. I am honored that the California Legislative Black Caucus's member, Tony Thurmond, who has fought for education, will continue to do that, will be our partner in changing California and bringing it back to the glory days of education. Once again, congratulations. We are honored to have you as our new superintendent, and we look forward to the struggle. Thank you.
Please welcome Senator Maria Elena Durazo, Vice Chair of the Latino Legislative Caucus.
Good morning, sisters and brothers. Buenos días, hermanos y hermanas. First of all, let me thank and acknowledge all of the men and women who work in public education, from the food service workers, to the counselors, to the nurses, to the maintenance, everybody, and the teachers, everybody who serves our children in those schools every single day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I also want to thank all the men and women in organized labor who represent those working people. So, on November 6th, Californians elected a new leader for public education. And today, that new leadership begins. Our schools are filled with immigrants from all over the world. And for the first time, those children will have a leader whose mother was an immigrant. Our schools are filled with children who are learning English, a second language, by the way, which is a good thing, a second language that will open more doors for them. And for the first time, these children will have a bilingual leader. Our schools, our schools, I know we have a lot more to learn here. Our schools are filled with children living in poverty. The majority of the students qualify for free or reduced cost meals. And starting today, those children will have a leader who grew up in that kind of poverty. Tony Thurmond is my granddaughter's new leader. But no leader can't lead unless people follow. Tony Thurmond can't succeed unless we follow his leadership. The Constitution may only grant Tony with limited authority, but if we empower him, Tony will have limitless power to improve the lives of our children. Within a few hours, our Governor Gavin Newsom is committed to empowering Tony Thurmond's leadership by giving him and our teachers more children ready to learn before they walk into a public school. And the rest of us should follow the new governor's example. We too can empower Tony Thurmond to lead and succeed. You know, while adults are locked into decades-long debates about numbers, test scores, and graduation rates and budgets, we seem to skip past the one number that some of us think counts the most. Children whose parents work for low wages don't do as well as middle-class children. I believe as legislators, our job is to empower Tony Thurmond's leadership by doing all that we can to raise the wages of the parents of those children. Because fewer poor children means higher school success. Mi hermano, te apoyamos. Y nuestros niños y jóvenes esperan y merecen que seas un líder fuerte. Recuerda tus raíces. Sisters and brothers, on behalf of the Latino Caucus, Superintendent Thurmond, we embrace your leadership. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Assemblymember Evan Lowe, Chair of the LGBT Legislative Caucus.
Good morning to all of you. This is certainly a testament to the type of people that Tony has had an impact on in our lives. It's truly a one-stop shop, so if you need to get anything done, this is the place to be. When Tony asked me to speak, he had mentioned that he wanted to have an array of people representing various communities. And it was quite fitting with respect to our California LGBT Legislative Caucus, to which I see many of our members also sitting here today, when you think about the LGBT community and Tony Thurmond. Now, as a straight ally, we are so proud to have Tony working for us. There was a time in which all of us, I think, could remember, in which the Trump administration was going to come for us. When that is the Muslim ban, or for women, or for those that are undocumented. We knew that it was only a matter of time before the LGBT community was also going to be targeted. And in fact, it happened. The Trump administration removed protections for the most vulnerable in our community, transgender students. This community has some of the highest suicide rates of any other community. And yet, the administration would come and attack us. And who came and knocked on the door of the California LGBT Legislative Caucus as a straight ally and said, we need to do something? That was Tony. You know, many of us think about tribalism in our various caucuses, and we like to keep within our own zones and our own lanes. But he clearly has demonstrated from all of us, he has shown that he is committed to equality for all people, because we know that love transcends all communities. And that's why he introduced legislation to protect LGBT students and ensuring that our men and women who work in our schools understand the importance of diversity of LGBT training, specifically because of the Trump administration coming and attacking us. It's quite fitting to also know that as a product of public education, Tony, as a graduate of San Jose Unified School District, De Anza Community College in San Jose State, you are at the helm of protecting our social contract, the social contract of young people, not investing in the future, but at the present, and saying that you get yourself educated, you too will be able to obtain the California and American dream just like everybody else. And you are at the forefront of that. But we also know that social change does not just happen with one person, and we all take a part in this. And that's why each of us will play a role in this. And I see the chair of our Assembly Education Committee, Patrick O'Donnell. Are you committed to making sure that our public instruction, superintendent of public instruction, is successful? Hey, you all heard it here. And equally, irrespective of whether or not you have a title or not, you are here because you equally care about public education. So are you equally committed to making sure that our next superintendent of public instruction is successful in making sure that California is the community and the state that we want to see for all Californians? Tony, thank you for your public service. We love you. We are going to miss you in the state legislature, but we know you won't be a stranger. Congratulations.
Mr. Rendon?
Sorry, I was mesmerized by Evan's suit. I have one at home just like it. Almost wore it today, too. What'd you think of those speeches? Pretty good, huh? Good. Okay, well, we got another one for you now. Please welcome our keynote speaker, a labor leader and civil rights activist who has been working for more than a half century to move California forward. You know her, she's a legend, she's our friend, Dolores Huerta.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. It's a really, really happy new year. Thank you so very much, and thank you very much, Superintendent of Education Tony Thurmond, for inviting me to share in this ceremony today. You know, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, our great president, in the times of World War II, he said, "We will not take one dime out of our education or our libraries, not one dime, because education is the foundation and the soul of our nation." And we know when we say that, that means it's the soul of our democracy. And we have to have a strong educational system to save our democracy, especially in today's world when we see that so many of our public institutions are being attacked. But in order to do that, we know that we're going to have to work very, very hard to get the resources that we need to make sure that we do have a quality and an equitable educational system for everyone. To have enough resources to make sure that our teachers are paid the way that they should be, that they don't have to go on strike to get better wages or better benefits, or get the resources that they need to be able to do the work that they have to do to make sure that our children have the resources to get a proper education. And I do believe that every single child should be prepared for college, even if they're not going to go to college, because if we do not have an educated citizenry in our country, as the great educational philosopher Jose Ortega y Gasset said, if we do not have an educated citizenry, then we will have those that are in charge will be the greedy and the corrupt, and we will have mob rule that will rule our country. So we have to think very, very seriously about how do we get the resources in order to provide our educational institutions the resources that they need. I think we have done pretty good in the last few years. You know, California, we used to be next to Mississippi in education. I think now we're number 44. But this is California. California's got to be number 1, not number 44. And we did well. You know, we passed Proposition 30, we passed Proposition 55. We brought over $9 billion every year to our state revenues for education. But we have one more to go, and that will be when we pass the next proposition to make sure that our corporations pay their fair share of property taxes, okay? And that'll be on the ballot for next time. The other thing we know is that I really hope, and I'm going to speak to the teachers and the educators in this hall today, that when we think about education, we've really got to teach not only the spelling, the writing, and the reading. We've got to start with pre-K education to teach all of our children, number one, the contributions of immigrants to build this great country. You know, the contributions of not only the people from Europe that came as immigrants, but also the people that came from Mexico, that came from China, from Japan, from India, from the Philippines. They are the ones that built the infrastructure of this country, and our children of color need to know this so that they can have the dignity that they deserve when they go into a classroom, and we can get rid of the poison of white supremacy and white privilege. And yes, we should start making sure that every child also has an education about labor history. Yes, we have to have labor studies, ethnic studies, gender studies, women's studies, and science. And when we speak of science, not only the kind of physical sciences that we're talking about, but the social sciences. And yes, to all the teachers in this room, I'm going to ask you a favor. Take 10 minutes out of your classroom work, which I know is very, very crowded, and yes, teach children that we are all the children of Africa. This is where our human race began. So we are all Africans of different shades and colors. This is part of science. And I want to thank Speaker Rendon, members of the legislature, and of course, our Black Governor, Governor Brown, for making the extra money, the extra funds available so that the children, the English learners, our foster children, our low-income children could have additional funding for the local control funding formula, for the special concentration funds. But I'm going to ask all of you out there, Superintendent Thurmond cannot do this job by himself. You've got to help. You know, we all celebrated the midterm elections. We did a great job. We worked very hard. Yes, the assembly races are important. The Senate races are important. The governor's races are important also. But so are the school board elections, please. The school board elections. We want to call on all of you to please make sure that all of these great programs that have been passed by the legislature, and to build on what our previous superintendent, Tom Torlakson, did, to make sure that these programs are implemented. And they're not going to be implemented unless we are out there making sure that we go to these LCAP hearings, that we find out what's going on, that we make sure that these funds are being distributed the way that they should. Because if we're not there, I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We put a lot of energy into the elections. Let's put enough energy and more energy to make sure that all of our children in these different school board districts, that they get the kind of implementation of these services and of these funds that were voted by the legislature. I know that we can do it. We can do it with Tony Thurmond. And so I'm going to ask all of you to say a big old viva for Tony Thurmond, our new superintendent of education. So I'm going to say it first. I'm going to say, que viva Tony Thurmond, and everybody shout. Let's all do it together and say, viva, okay? I'm going to go first, all right? Que viva Tony Thurmond! Viva! All right. So are we going to go out there and give him the kind of help that he needs? What do we say? ¿Se puede o no se puede? Okay, let's all do it all together with an organized hand clap. Let's go all together. Let's go. Sí, se puede. And I am taking that as a commitment, okay? I am taking that, si se puede, as a commitment that we are here committing ourselves, that we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that California will be #1 in education, and we are the ones that have to do it. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Please join me in welcoming Assembly Member David Chiu, Chair of the Asian Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus.
Good morning, California. Do we have any fans of Tony the Tiger Thurmond here in this house? So I am honored to be here today representing the API Legislative Caucus. And since we've heard so many wonderful things about Tony, I'm going to just start and mentioning the one disappointment I have about Tony Thurmond. So Tony and I were sworn in on the same day some 4 years ago in the legislature. And I watched him progress, and I watched as he joined the Black Caucus, the Latino Caucus, the Jewish Caucus, the Panamanian Caucus. And I have to admit, as an Asian American, I was a little disappointed that, Tony, you never outed yourself as an API. But I have to share this, which is Tony could have outed himself as Asian Pacific Islander, because at his core, the #1 value that animates him, that moves him forward, is the same value that animates millions of Asian Americans in California. And that is a fundamental belief that opportunity of education changes all of our lives. This is why my parents immigrated to this country. This is why millions of immigrants, regardless of your background, have come here to this great state of California. And this is why it has been an honor over the last 4 years to have Tony have our backs at every step of the way. When we went to him and said, we have Muslim students, Southeast Asian refugee students, other immigrant students who are being bullied in the classroom, Tony Thurmond was there. When we went to Tony and said, we have educational data that we need for sub-ethnic populations within the API community who are struggling, and we need to make sure this data gets collected, Tony Thurmond was there. When we needed help with language access because of the 10 languages most frequently spoken by English learner students in California, 7 of those 10 are Asian languages, Tony Thurmond was there. And when our diverse educators came to us and said, we need help, we need resources, we need funding, we need housing, Tony Thurmond was there. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of millions of Asian Americans in this state. And on a personal note, and Tony knows this, I have a 2-year-old son. His name is Lucas. And I've said to Tony, you don't improve our schools the next couple years, I'm holding you accountable. But I know that we have the best shot at lifting up all of our students in the coming years because of this man. And one final thing, Tony and I started on that fateful day 4 years ago, and he introduced himself to many of us and said, I'm Tony Thurmond, I used to be 6'7". And the weight of the job and this last campaign made him a little shorter. But it is my profound belief that all of us working here together in this room, we're not only going to lift up Tony Thurmond, we're going to lift up the future of millions of students in this state. We're going to lift up the future of California. Tony Thurmond, to a brother from a different mother, thank you for being an honorary Asian American superintendent.
Please join me in welcoming Senator Connie Leyva, Chair of the Women's Legislative Caucus.
Well, good morning, Wonder Women and enlightened men. I say Wonder Women because women get done. But you know who else gets done? Enlightened men. And we have an enlightened man in our next superintendent, Tony Thurmond. The thing about speaking last is most everything has already been said, but that's okay because I got stories. But first, as the chair of the Legislative Women's Caucus, we cannot be more excited to work with you, to partner with you, and do great things for not only women, but for all of our children in our schools. I met Tony 4 years ago when I too had gotten elected to the legislature. We are going to miss Tony in the legislature because when you're presenting a bill in committee, this is the guy who asks the hard questions. This is the guy who asks the questions and you're like, ooh, was I prepared for that? But you know what that means? That means we are all lucky and our children are all lucky because he is going to ask the tough questions. He's going to make sure that all of our students, all of our children have the same opportunities. I had some time, opportunity to spend some time with Tony on the campaign trail. And any of you who have run for office, any office, you know that's where you really get to know people. And all I can tell you is after spending many days with him, I like him even more. The guy he works hard, he cares. When we were at doors, how many people do you know that ran for a statewide office that were out knocking on doors? Not a lot, because they say, I got the whole state. Well, he came down and we spent a whole day in San Bernardino, knocking on doors, talking to people, and this guy gets it. He has a great story, and he has a passion. And I said to him, I said, you know, Tony, you were born for this job. Clearly, you always knew you wanted to do this. And he goes, no, I don't know that, Connie. I don't know that I always wanted to do this. I said, you know what? Maybe in your head you didn't, but your heart always knew. When you look at the legislation that he's authored and gotten to the governor's desk and gotten signed, you know that he has a heart for this job, and he has a heart for our children. People say, tell me what your priorities are. But someone even smarter says, show me where you put your money, and I'll tell you what your priorities are. So we know that we're going to work hard to give you the money that you need and the budget that you need to fully fund education in our schools so that we can put our money where our mouth is and make sure that our children have everything that they need so that we can be number one. We lead in everything in California. We need to lead in education, and we have the right leader at the helm to help us do this. So I will tell you that the Legislative Women Caucus stands ready to help you in any way. Please call on us, and I will end with this. A quote from Nelson Mandela: "Education is the most powerful weapon which we can all use to change the world." So let's go forward and change the world together and with our new superintendent, Tony Thurmond.
Thank you. Now we will hear from Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who represents California's 13th, you can cheer if you want. Barbara Lee represents California's 13th Congressional District. Congresswoman Lee was recently named co-chair of the Congressional Steering and Policy Committee, which is crucial in shaping California Democrats' agenda and investigations. Please welcome this longtime conscience of the House of Representatives, Congresswoman Barbara Lee.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you, Speaker Rendon, for that gracious introduction, but also for your tremendous leadership. Let me say, it's good to be back in Sacramento, and it's good to be back today, because I am so honored to be here to celebrate my former Assembly members' celebration swearing in as Superintendent of Public Education. Tony Thurmond, this is the dawn of a new day for our children. It truly is. And I know that our first African-American elected statewide here in the state of California, and the first African-American elected as Superintendent of Public Education, as mentioned earlier, Wilson Riles Jr. I know that Wilson Riles Sr., excuse me, is shining and smiling and saying how proud he is today for this great victory for our children in this state. As a social worker by profession, which I am, I know that Tony, who is also a social worker, shares a devotion as an advocate for all of our children, including the most vulnerable and those millions of children living below the poverty line. He has already helped, as we heard earlier, 400,000 new children to become part of the free lunch program, which is dear to my heart, given my personal history as a single mom on public assistance and food stamps. And I know, Tony, how critical this is to help kids focus on their classwork and to succeed in school. Tony's work with children in the foster care system and his efforts to improve programs for kids with developmental disabilities really demonstrates his unwavering commitment to every single child, regardless of their circumstances. Tony has also demonstrated his bold leadership to crack this school-to-prison pipeline by introducing his bill to tax private prisons to create revenue for preschool and after-school programs. What a visionary! What a visionary! That's what it takes, bold action. And let me tell you, Tony is the right man at the right time to help fight the federal Donald Trump, Betsy DeVos's anti-child, anti-education, anti-civil and human rights agenda. Tony's gonna do that for our children. Our children not only need Tony to resist this, but he will put forth his agenda to put our children first, because he believes in public education, not in privatizing our public schools. That's our new Superintendent of Public Instruction. So Tony, today I am so happy for you and your family and for the children of our great state. And this morning, in thinking about what a remarkable, historic, moment this is, I thought of a few of the lyrics to the song, The Greatest Love of All. I believe the children are our future, Tony. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside, and give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Tony, you are our hero. You have come for such a time as this. Congratulations, and Tony, I know that as our millennials and young people say in our district, that you're gonna stay woke for all of our children. God bless you.
Thank you. So speeches are good, but who wants to see Tony get sworn in now? I think they're ready. Now allow me to introduce retired Judge Gordon S. Baranco to administer the oath of office.
We are going to need another microphone up here. Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. Ostensibly, California judges are supposed to not be very political. So I have to keep my remarks very brief, and I will. And I think what I am saying isn't very political, at least partisan politics. First of all, Superintendent-elect, congratulations on being elected. Thank you. I happen to know that there were many people in this room who kept going online to the Secretary of State's office for about 3 weeks, keeping tabs. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. People in my family did. And so congratulations. And third, most important for me, is thank you for the opportunity and the privilege of administering the oath of office to you. Now, I asked for the other microphone because we have a lot of people here. Oh, it's not on a stand. Huh? Can we? Yes. Because we need to come out here, Superintendent-elect, and stand wherever you want to stand, with whom you ever want to stand with you, so everyone can get a view of what you are going to say and do.
I'll stand wherever you tell me.
No. Do you want your daughters here with you?
Yeah,
You want your
brother,
and
my niece.
you bring them all over here. Bring them all over here. When all of you come.
Okay, come on up, come on up. Sure. Stand closer, stand closer, closer, closer.
And I know it's your request that you put your hand on the Bible held by one of your daughters. I need you, however, to have her over here because you got to raise your right hand.
I saw that coming.
I know that was a test.
That was
a
good.
test. Okay. Need you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
Tony Thurmond,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of California,
and the Constitution of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter,
And if I am confronted
and if I am confronted
by any person or institution
by any person or institution
that seeks to marginalize the public education
that seeks to marginalize the public education
to which our children are entitled.
to which our children are entitled.
I will not back down.
I will not back down. I want to quickly introduce my family who's joined us here today. My brother, Jerome Dawson, who is here. My niece, Malia Dawson. My daughters, Maya and Jayden Thurmond. Thank you for allowing me to do what I do and for being a part of today's event. Thank you. Well, thank you, Judge Baranco, especially for that extra addition of I will not back down. There's been so many great things said. I don't know that there's anything left for me to say, so it's all over but the shouting, as they say, or the singing. I believe the children are our future. Thank you, Congresswoman Lee. I love that song. I think it's so fitting for where we are and where we need to be. I am humbled, really. To be standing before you at this time is incredibly humbling. To be standing on the shoulders of ancestors who were slaves and immigrants, to be a student who was on the free lunch program and had food stamps and more government cheese than you could ever care to eat. You all know I always say I ate so much government cheese that I thought that USDA was a brand name. But these were programs that helped to save my life, and the most important public program that I had availed to me was an education. And it changed the narrative of my life and allowed me to overcome poverty. It allowed me to change the course of my life. And I talked about it all the time, how easy it would have been for me to end up in state prison. Instead, I ended up elected to be the next state superintendent of public instruction in the great state of California. And it is for those reasons that I think this work is so important, that we close our school-to-prison pipeline and that we give every one of our 6 million students an opportunity to be successful. That education will be, as you heard from all of our speakers, the great equalizer that will change their lives. So many people to thank for today, but first let me thank our hosts, our superintendent, our principal, McClatchy High School, and the students of McClatchy High School. Put your hands together for our students who perform with dignity and distinction. To them, I say this: don't let anybody ever tell you you can't be what you want to be or do what you want to do. Anyone who tells you that you can't, you get away from them and you find someone who says you can and I will help you. And while I have no direct responsibility over this school, I want you to know that any challenges that the students of McClatchy experience become my challenges. I'm gonna be here in your house to help you. I got your back. And if you need it, I'm here for you and your teachers and your administrators and your families. I also want to thank those who put today's ceremony together. You know, we don't have, $1 million budget for transition in the State Department of Public Education. We got a few, well, we didn't have anything actually. And so today's event really is the hard work of a few volunteers and people who care deeply about education, and I've had the privilege to work with for many years. My former Chief of Staff, Mary Nicely, my former scheduler and Ledge Aid staff person, Giovanna Sanchez-Gonzalez, my campaign staff, and a great leader in education who I get the opportunity to work with as our Chief Deputy Superintendent, and that is none other than Lupita Cortez Alcala. We have big work ahead of us. We have to address literacy in this state. Our children should be able to read, because when they learn to read, they read to learn. And we know that we can close the achievement gap. And we've got to start with early education and intervention programs that help those whose ages are beyond the early grades. We've got to close our teacher shortage. We can't close the achievement gap without a great teacher at the head of every class. And we've got to make sure that we provide quality compensation and support to our teachers and our classified staff and all those educators who support our kids. I'd like to ask all the educators who are in the room to just stand so we can acknowledge you. Teachers and classified staff and administrators, all those who support our kids. Thank you. I look out and I see so many who help our kids, and I see so many who help me. Because y'all know this was a process to get through to get here. It was a 2-year process that took like 30 years off my lifetime. But teachers stood up for me, and classified employees stood up for me, and superintendents stood up for me. People like Terry Jackson, who was one of the first teachers to mentor me. Stand up, Terry Jackson. And Robert Ellis, who invites me to his class every year to read to his students. I couldn't last year, so he brought them to the Capitol. And I have to acknowledge Sergio, who followed me everywhere on the campaign. I mean, he showed up everywhere I was. I want to also acknowledge the students who came today from my home district, where I was a school board member, a district that was vilified, instead of recognizing that they are great leaders who are prepared to do great things. The middle school students of Juan Crespi Middle School, and the high schoolers of El Cerrito High School, who are here today to be a part of this celebration, who've made today a learning day. I've made an invitation to them, and I make it to the McClatchy students, to learn about how legislation is made, and I've invited them to work with me to write a new bill to improve education. And so that's my invitation to Crespi and to El Cerrito and to the students of McClatchy, because we know if we listen to your voices, we'll find our way. We've got to change the narrative of education in this state and in this country. There's no reason for the 5th wealthiest economy in the world to be 45th or 46th in per pupil spending. My top priority, let's make our kids number 1 and fund our schools like they are number 1. We've got to improve special education. We've got to make sure that we provide more science, technology, engineering, arts, and math for our students, and career technical education, so our students are prepared for the jobs of tomorrow, because they're going to take care of us, some of us sooner than others. I'm talking about myself. But I need your help. Everyone says it all the time. This job is the type of job where you get all the blame for what goes wrong, but you don't have the resources to fix what needs to be fixed. And I give great credit to the 2 superintendents who are here today. I thank them not just for supporting me, but for leading. Delane Easton and Tom Torlickson. Stand up again. Thank you for it's a hard job. There are 1,000-some school districts in our state, and the superintendent of public instruction does not have direct responsibility over any of those districts, but yet you will get the blame, or I will get the blame, for what goes wrong. I accept that. I accept those challenges. I accept the challenge you heard from Assemblymember David Chiu. But here's my ask. Stand with me when we fight for our kids. It's easy to tear down and to destruct. I'll take your criticism. I'll take your best shot. But let's not criticize our kids. Let's talk about what we need to do to provide them with a great education. That starts with resources and training for our educators and support for our kids who've experienced trauma, our kids who are homeless, our kids who are in foster care, our kids who've been suspended and kicked out of school. And when you're kicked out of school, you can't learn. So let's keep them close and let's give them a great education. Will you stand with me on behalf of our kids? Senator Skinner said, yeah, I'm standing with you. And I say that, and I want to acknowledge the legislators who have helped me in many ways, but they're our partner. My success is tied to your success. My success is tied to the partnership with the legislature and with the governor. And I'm excited that we will have a new governor in just a few minutes. I'm going to let y'all out of here so you can go to his swearing in. A new governor who made a pillar of his campaign discussion providing early education for our learners in the state of California. It's been a long time. It's refreshing to have that. And I appreciate our partners in the Assembly and the Senate who are going to be there to help us have the budget and the resources that we need to support our kids. I would like to ask the legislators who are still here if they would stand and be acknowledged, our Speaker and all of the legislators, the Assembly members and the senators who've been helping us through their legislation. Thank you. And school board members, I see Rosie Torres, our partner from Oakland. Any school board members in the house, please stand. I always say this is the hardest job in politics. Nobody shows up unless something went wrong. But we stand with you, and together we will stand to support the 1,000 districts in this state, the 58 county offices of education, and the 6 million kids in this state. Together, let us create a better day for all of our students. Thank you so much for being a part of my journey and for the work we will do for our students in California. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for our benediction, which will be given this morning by Rabbi Rebecca Stern.
Actually, I'm happy for you all to be comfortable, so you can sit down. Tony, you are a person who knows deep in your heart, deep in your soul, the reality that, as environmental activist Wendell Berry said, the world is not given by our ancestors, but borrowed from our children. And there's a story from the Jewish tradition, from the rabbinic tradition, about how it was that the Israelites came to receive the wisdom from God of the commandments. And that at the time of their giving, God said, "What are you going to give me to the people? What are you going to give me as a guarantor? That I give you these commandments, that I give you this way of life, these guidelines on how to be ethical, on how to pursue justice." And they said, "Our ancestors will be our guarantors. You had special relationship with them." And God said, "They are not good guarantors." And the people said, "Our prophets will be our guarantors. You had an even more special relationship with them. We receive your word through them." And God said, "That is also not enough." And finally, the people said, "Our children will be our guarantors." It is for their sake that I give you this wisdom. It is for their sake that I give you these commandments, this way of life. And I know that that wisdom lives deep in your heart and will guide you to, as Senator Durazo and Assemblymember Lowe reminded us so clearly, represent all of our children. Our job, as the rabbinic tradition teaches from 2,000 years ago in Pirkei Avot, "Uvmakom she'ein anashim hishtadel liot ish." In a place where there are no people, strive to be a person. Indeed, it is the job of our educational system to teach our children to be people. In a time when discourse has dissolved, we need people. And you are such a person. To be an example for our children as they grow, for mine who are here today, for yours who are here today, for so many others, to rise up and lead, to create an educational system under your vision of equity, and where a sense of citizenship, of responsibility for self in the context of others will be raised up. We will follow you. We will stand with you in realizing your vision to create truly the California of our dreams and the dreams of our children. And Tony, with your leadership, may we see the realization of that vision in your time, in our time, such that our communities, our state, our nation, and our world will be returned to the children to whom it does belong. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Stern. Today's occasion ushers in a new era during which the children of California can depend on having their needs recognized at the highest levels. Our schools will be led by a man with a deep understanding of the state and the needs of our students. I look forward to a collaborative effort with the superintendent, the legislature, and the administration, all coming together to fill those needs. Now is the time to move forward. Thank you. Please enjoy the reception in the school cafeteria. Thank you very much.